Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Hart, and today I'm breaking down the Thursday night football game on Draftkings between the Dolphins and the Bengals. $1 million to first place. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. And follow me on Twitter. I put up a bunch of fantasy football stats, DFS stats, to help you out for tonight's game and every slate. As you can see, put up a bunch of stats for tonight's game that you guys should definitely check out. Going over the usage from last week's Dolphins game as well as last week's Cincinnati Bengals game, and that can kind of help you lead you into a direction of where to go for tonight's slate breakdown, or it's slate Thursday night football slate. Sorry, this is also going to be a pretty quick slate breakdown as the game starts in a little over 3 hours. So sorry that this is late, guys, but I want to make it a quick one. Obviously at the top we have Jamar Chase. I mean, he's had kind of a down season so far. 31 week 1, fantastic, but then 10 and 13 the past 2 weeks. I mean, he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. I do expect to bounce back here versus Miami. I think it's going to be a super, pass heavy game, which I think everyone's kind of expecting. So it all comes down to how do you want to get different on the slate. Jamar Chase is going to be, super, super popular captain. Same thing with Tyreek. Going to have a bounce back game. As I said in my tweets, Miami had way less total plays than normal. I think they only had 39 offensive total plays. They only had 19 minutes of possession. So all their stats were down for week 3. So really expect a bounce back for them, especially for Tyreek. Great first 2 games. Did absolutely nothing. That's the third game. I know they're dealing with cramps, heat. So a lot of those Miami guys were, seeing a little bit less plays, less snaps. The Bills had the ball the whole game, so offense didn't really get to their normal stats for the week 3 game versus the Bills. So really expect a bounce back for those Miami guys. In terms of how I'm going to attack this slate, I think my favorite way is just getting different in the captain spot. As I was saying, Jamar Chase can be super popular as a captain. Same with Tyreek. Same thing with Waddle. Even both quarterbacks are going to be in there. If you do both quarterbacks in a captain spot, you're going to want at least 2 pass catchers in the flex, if not more, and then run it back with pass catchers on the other side, as I always mention. But I like it in different. Joe Mixon will be, a little popular captain, but really expect everyone above him to be even way popular, way more popular in the captain spot. So I do expect Joe Mixon's ownership to be low in the captain spot. So I like getting different there. Who else? I really like T. Higgins. I'm sure he'll get some ownership, especially because he's pretty cheap compared to all the other guys. The usage is there. I know he only saw 2 targets the first week. He's been dealing with injuries pretty much every week. They didn't call a touchdown for his week 3 catch versus the Jets, where he would have got, was it 7 more points if they called it a touchdown. So he's firmly in play. He has the volume to be optimal captain. So I really like him. I'm sure he'll be popular, as I said, because he's pretty cheap compared to the top guys, the top dogs. Don't go to Pirine. He only got run because Mixon was kind of dealing with an injury, so they played him 10% more than usual. And he really performed well, as you can see, 9 for 47. He also caught a pass catching touchdown. But if you want to get different, I just wouldn't suggest going to Pirine. He's just too expensive. It'd really prohibit you from getting to other plays. So I wouldn't go there. Tyler Boyd, you can definitely go there. He just kind of outperformed due to some of those injuries. The T. Higgins, the first game he missed, so Boyd really stepped up, did well there, 4 for 33 and a touchdown. This past game versus the Jets, he broke off a huge play. It was that 56-yard play, but he got a touchdown on. I mean, if you take that away, that's half his points gone right there. You can definitely get different by going to him. I just think I'm going to avoid that because I do think most of the touches are going to Mixon, Chase, and Higgins. But once this, again, and as I said, you need to get different, especially if you want to take down the million to first. So you could go to Boyd. I mean, he does have some upside, but I don't really think it's enough for you to do well enough in the slate to either cash or win it, unless he goes for like 20+ points. Edmonds, I just don't think I'm going to get there. Maybe as a flex play, I'm sure he'll be pretty low owned just because he's a little bit more expensive than, where is he? Mostert, way more expensive, about 2,000 more, and they're splitting carries. Like, he is the pass catching back, so if they go down, he will get a good amount of, routes out of the backfield. Really hasn't done much this year in terms of that. 4 first game, 3 the second, only 1 last game. But, he's done okay fantasy point wise. He did get 2 touchdowns, 2 red zone looks last game. I mean, that was a little unexpected. You'd think Mostert would get it, but I just think he's a little too expensive, especially for playing the same amount of snaps pretty much as Mostert. So I think he's just a void for me, but that's another route you can kind of go different as. I would only put him as a flex play if you want to get very contrarian there. Hurst, going to be tight end 1 for the Bengals. He hurt his groin in that game, so his snaps were way down, and the backups, Wilcox and Asiasi, were able to play. I think I'd stick with Hurst. He's going to get you looks. First 2 weeks he saw 8 and 7, so he does have upside there. He's kind of like fringe, like captain you could throw in, but I don't mind giving him as a flex play just to get a little different from those pass catchers on the Bengals side. Who else do we have here? Sorry, did I miss anyone? Gesicki. I actually don't mind getting to Gesicki. His snaps are way down. He's operating as the tight end 2 right now. I mean, he only had one good week where he saw 4 targets. So it's not a great outlook for Mike Gesicki going into this game. Tight end 2, he's only had one good week. Where's the guy? Durham Smythe is in front of him. If you want to get different, 5,000, you can throw him in the flex. I wouldn't put him in the captain, but you can definitely take a very contrarian stance and play Mike Gesicki as one of your pass catchers from the Miami side. Going to have very, very low ownership, especially at his price tag, so you could get really different there. Mostert, I think he's a pretty solid play. Not going to see a ton of running touches unless for some reason this turns into a running game. He can see some targets out of the backfield. Do expect him to see, maybe 1 or 2 goal line red zone touches, kind of taking those away from Edmonds, but we'll have to see. I don't mind him as a flex play. He's getting a half run. The defenses, I guess they're in play. I mean, both quarterbacks tend to throw a decent amount of picks, so there's always that chance that they run it back for a touchdown, but I think I'm going to stay away from that in this, what should be a high-scoring game. Since it's going to be a high-scoring game, both kickers are firmly in play. Do think I prefer McPherson just because I think he's been perfect on the season. I think he's made every single field goal. Not made every single field, but he's gone 2 of 3, 3 of 3, and then 2 of 3. He has insane range. Made a 59-yarder week 1, so I really like him. He should be in play, especially if it's high scoring. Same thing with Sanders. He's pretty solid. I didn't kick any field goals the last 2 games, so that's kind of why I prefer McPherson. I think the Miami Dolphins would rather go for it on 4th down if they're close, and that's why they're not using Sanders as much. Smythe, going to be very popular. I think people are going to box score watch, see that he got 3 targets, caught all 3 of them for 23 yards. I mean, he is a red zone threat, especially operating as tight end 1. But I think with Miami, they do put Gesicki in towards the red zone just because he's a little bit bigger and better when it comes to the red zone. So you can get lucky there. But Smythe looks like an okay value. He is operating as tight end 1, seeing 50+% snaps or more. So you can definitely go there. Want to go to Crockraft. He's 2 back-to-back games with touchdowns. I just think that's a little bit of an outlier. They're only throwing him once. Wilson is questionable. Keep an eye on that. I mean, if he's out, there's really no one you need to go to on the Miami side. As I put in my little breakdown, I mean, Sherfield is going to pick up that extra run. Maybe Crockraft does, but I just think, being the wide receiver 3/4, he's not going to have much usage. Same thing with Sherfield. I mean, you can take a dart throw on these guys, but they don't really any looks. I mean, the whole usage is going to Waddle and Tyreek Hill. In gold, you could take a shot there. Hope he gets a catch or a red zone look. He is playing about 30% of the snaps, especially when they get closer to the red zone. So you can always take a dart throw there on these showdown slates. They always get very weird. So, I mean, maybe you get lucky there. And then that really does it. Mike Thomas, all his snaps are going down. Don't think you need to go there. And that's about it. So I think, obviously, you got a ton of pass catchers, some of the top wide receivers in the league. Everyone's going to want to get a lot of them in there. I think you got to get different by going to guys like, either getting different in the captain spot or in the flex by throwing in guys like Gesicki, I know it's super, super risky, but that's how you're going to have to take down the million to first. You're going to have to throw in like Gesicki or Edmonds, guys who are splitting time and kind of overpriced. But if they do well and something falls their way, like a touchdown, you're really, really looking really, really solid. Hurst, I think the tight ends are going to go overlooked on the slate, and then maybe even like a kicker. So I think that's kind of the route I'm going. I know it's not a full breakdown, guys, but the game is starting pretty soon. And I think Aaron has a kind of a general sense of how everyone's going to try to stack all these top wide receivers, which makes sense because they have massive, massive upside. But you got to get different if you want to win the million to first. If you guys liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.